Welcome to Dear Business Coach, the podcast. My name's Elizabeth, coming to you from the Walker Consulting Works studio. Find one thing to move your business forward today. With conversations, spotlights, interviews, articles, and free resources. Listen, follow, and subscribe on social media, Dear Business Coach pages and groups, Dear Business Coach podcast. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. And don't forget Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. All it takes sometimes is one little thing to move your business forward today. And then, okay, yeah. So awesome. So it's Joanne. Thank you for coming to the Dear Business Coach podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing really well. Thank you very much. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm so glad we are getting together. I would like to introduce you to our guests, or to introduce you to our listeners. I do have your LinkedIn page pulled up here. And as I mentioned with you, we will get some details from you about where folks can view and follow you while they're listening and later. Joanne Hayward, you say on your LinkedIn headline, to empower your career, master business English for non-native English-speaking professionals, founder of Fletcher Business English, mom of twins and furry friends. And also, I asked you if it was okay if I read your about section here on your LinkedIn profile. I really like what you've written here. Another meeting where you are nodding your head, hoping you can close the deal without opening your mouth. Are you tired of showing up for meetings and having no idea what's going on until after the meeting is done? Are you nervous and stressed out the night before you need to attend a meeting or make a presentation, wondering if you're going to mess up simply because of your language skills? With years of English teaching experience coupled with an international corporate background in London and Dubai, I have a unique methodology to help you with your business English in a professional setting. Have fun and learn in a professional setting. The last thing you want to do at the end of a long day at work is work. And then I have the details here of how to find you. I do see here you highlight your company website as FletcherBusinessEnglish.com. So Joanne, tell me a little bit about yourself. I know we've had the pleasure of talking once before. How did you get into the love of language?
Well, I've always been an avid reader. Reading's been one of my hobbies forever and a day. And I had a bit of an international life. I was in the finance industry in both London and Dubai for many years. Dubai was for many, many years. And then I moved to Malta after I had my twin girls. And I accidentally fell into teaching on one of the online platforms that you can join to get some extra money, basically, and completely fell in love with teaching. And so that love for teaching grew, and I decided that I didn't actually want to go down the generic teaching route where people sit and learn about grammar and vocabulary. Because of my business experience, it seemed a really good fit to actually teach business English in a practical way, which is something that's missing in the industry at the moment. You do see many teachers that will teach online and they will focus on the grammar elements and even teaching business English, but without that practical knowledge behind it. And I think it's much easier to teach something that you know rather than teaching something that you read in a textbook. So I set up my own business a few years ago now, and it's been growing very happily for quite some time. It's actually named after my grandmother's maiden name. Fletcher was my grandmother's maiden name. So yeah, my love for teaching is not just teaching, it's about helping to empower others, to just that difference in communicating. And it's not even the ability to communicate, it's the confidence that will get you over a lot of language barriers. So you're not looking for perfect English, you're looking at English that enables you to understand others and communicate your ideas in an easy and relaxed way. And that will lead you to just to show your expertise, your level of expertise in whatever industry that you're in. So all those people that are trying to learn pages and pages of vocabulary, it will, as the English say, go in one ear and out of the other ear unless you use it. So I'm the middle bit where I will teach it to you, but then you have to use it. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so I've got my notes here and I wrote down a couple of things that I would like to ask you to elaborate on a little bit, because what you just said there was really important a few moments ago. You're right. You can get into an English class and maybe it is for business. And you mentioned that there's a lot of that has to do with just learning the grammar or what's proper. And then you say that the goal here is to learn in your profile, as your profile says, in a fun way, but you say to get us into an easy and relaxed mode so that we can actually communicate, and we're not trying to be perfect. And so uh when you start working with with a client, or if you are giving some pointers and tips, where would we start? Because I know I had spoken with you before about probably you're speaking to someone who is in a leadership position and already has some experience and knows uh like you say, the expertise that needs to be communicated. So how do we get started with finding our comfort level?
Well, you're absolutely right. The people that come to me and want to improve their business English are already experts in their own field. And they are people that are short on time. They are already doing a very busy job and usually have a family as well. My first meeting is always set the goals, because you cannot improve all areas of English and become fluent in 1 week. So what you need to do is, every single person is different. Why do you want to improve your English? What do you want to achieve? And I know that is a very generic phrase that's used a lot these days, but when you are improving your business English, you often want a promotion or you want an international job. You have a very specific goal in mind, and that might be a big goal. That's great. So that's the big goal. And then we need to break that down into, okay, what skills do you need to improve upon to get there? Presentation skills is one of the most sought after skills, because it takes you from making a small presentation to your administration team to international presentations in the boardroom. So presentation skills, once learned, you can use the same kind of vocabulary in every presentation environment, and it will take you from the small group in one small office to international boardroom level. So presentation skills is often one of the first ones that is required, but it depends on the individual and what they do. Some people might want to touch up their job interview skills. If they have a job and they're applying for a job, and maybe they really want to, they think that they'll get to the interview stage, and then you start preparing for that interview. So the first step is where I suggest. So let's start at the first step. It has to be a small goal that will make a difference to your working life when you've achieved it, but that it's manageable, because that motivation is one of the biggest things. We're talking about very busy people here. And so in order to stay motivated, you need to see yourself achieve, especially when it comes to such a big issue as language. You need to see that you can achieve as you go along. So you can say, okay, I want to improve my presentation skills. Okay, why? Give me the first presentation that you want to take, and let's work on that presentation. Let's work on vocabulary around that presentation, work on the slides that you might wish to use. All of those are really important. And when you're dealing internationally, I mean, there are some nationalities where they put all of the information on a slide. And when you're working internationally, that's just not, it's not easy to look at. It's not easy for people to absorb information. So I recommend that people don't do that. They put as a small number of words on there as possible and then talk around it. But that all involves preparation and practice. And that's the key to what I teach: preparation, practice, and then performance. But yeah, first point is choose your goals.
Yeah, so that's excellent. You know, I thought when you were speaking there for a second that I didn't realize that I could come to you with an actual product that I need help with, and that makes a lot of sense. Let's get right to the thing that I need help on right away.
Absolutely.
Um,
Not going to teach you
yeah.
grammar, because most people that come to me, they're taught grammar at school. So they all know the grammar. It's just the confidence is the big thing. Having the confidence to open your mouth and perhaps make mistakes, because we all make mistakes. Native speakers make mistakes all the time. We often change what we're saying in the middle of a sentence.
Mm.
And
Mhm.
so there's no reason why non-native speakers shouldn't make the same mistakes, if not more. It doesn't matter. No one's judging. They just want to know the information that you're giving them. And they want to be able to ask the questions. And you, as the person, want to be able to understand, present your ideas, and then answer the relevant questions so that you can show your expertise.
Mark your calendars, business leaders and professionals. A game-changing event is coming to Roanoke, Virginia, presenting the Power of Laughter Masterclass with Clayton Fletcher, live and in person. That's right, October 18th, 2024. That's a Friday. International comedy headliner Clayton Fletcher is bringing his unique insights to the Jefferson Center in Roanoke, Virginia. We're talking a full day of hands-on training, no pre-recorded sessions, no virtual meetups, just you, me, and a room full of future comedy business gurus. In this immersive masterclass, you'll discover how to use humor to boost sales, enhance your leadership skills, and create a workplace culture that thrives on creativity and connection. Plus, you'll leave with practical tools you can use right away. Clayton's expertise comes from years on stage and consulting with top businesses. He's been featured on MSNBC, Fox, and ESPN, and now he's here in Roanoke. Whether you're in sales, management, or any other field, this masterclass is for you. We'll cover everything from reading the room to dynamic storytelling, all while having a blast. This isn't another business seminar. It's a full day experience that will energize your approach to work and leadership. And hey, the jokes you'll learn are worth the price of admission. Don't miss this rare opportunity, the Power of Laughter Masterclass with Clayton Fletcher, live at the Jefferson Center in Roanoke, Virginia, October 18th, 2024. I can't wait to see you there. Let's make your business funny in all the right ways. That's at the Jefferson Center box office, early bird pricing through September 30th. Bring your team and reserve your spots. My name's Elizabeth Walker, host and producer of the Dear Business Coach podcast. Looking to see you there. Right. And so when I first met you, I had listened to you talk, in an informational setting with Helena, and
Yeah.
she has a couple of online live events. Now, when I come to you, what kinds of training do you offer? Would I jump into like a one-on-one with you? What can I look for there?
It depends. I offer one-to-ones are my most popular option for a lot of people, because a lot of people, they haven't got a lot of time. One-to-ones obviously offer flexibility in, so there's not fixed timings for lessons. Basically, we can arrange, we both have diaries, we fit in normally 2 or 3 weeks in advance. which works really well internationally because obviously everyone has a different time zone. But having said that, I do offer courses, and I'm actually going to be launching, I really shouldn't be mentioning it yet, but I'm going to be
Okay.
launching a monthly membership, which is
Hmm.
going to be 2 sessions a week. And basically we'll be doing generic role plays. So it will be kind of non-specific role play. So I will put scenarios in place and then direct people so that they can interact with each other. And that will be splitting people into breakout rooms so that they have the opportunity to practice and also ask questions. On a one-to-one basis, obviously those role plays are very specific based on the specific information that the client wants to practice, wants to work on. And so there's a very big difference there. But for some, there is a demand I'm finding for people that are maybe have a bit more spare time or can be more.
I don't know what happened here. Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Oh. So last thing. Okay, so actually, you had told me before that you do offer group settings where there's role playing, and it sounds like that's really effective, and you might be offering that again soon.
Yes, it will be rather than a specific length of time, it will be just a membership. So people can dip in as and when they feel the need. So I think that will be very useful. I'll also accept requests for specific scenarios. So although I can't guarantee that every request will be dealt with, real life scenarios is what role playing is all about. So anything, any practice can be, well, is always worthwhile, especially with language.
Yeah, that is really powerful. And then it sounds like you have a chance to listen to other people in the group too. So that
Oh,
sounds like well well worth the time. I know I've been in a couple of coaching sessions where it is focused like that with a few people, and getting to watch the coach interact with other people at the same time is really, really powerful.
absolutely, absolutely.
And so let's see, what I wanted to ask you about um oh, yes, you had said, even people where like English is our first language, we also have similar hiccups. And I had told you before, I have some insecurities about maybe an accent coming through too much. And so you must have a lot of experience with, I mean, every nationality has different accents within it, right? So
Yeah.
I'm getting the feeling that you are, as you say, we want to hear the information and get your expertise, and get you as the presenter away from being worried about being perfect. So if we're building confidence, what is maybe one of the first things that you could help me with, if I really just, that's really taking over my ability to present, as I just am really don't feel good about what might happen if I do make a mistake.
I mean, the best way to get through confidence issues is competence. So when you know what you're talking about and you know that people will understand what you're saying, that will give you more confidence. When you've fully prepared for the situation that you're going into, once again, that will give you more confidence. When you've practiced your presentations or any situation where you might feel a bit anxious about going and speaking, when you've practiced, again, in a safe environment where you can receive feedback, again, you'll feel more confident. The first time we do anything is terrifying, especially when you think that your career might be on the line. But if you can practice it 4 or 5 times beforehand, and you know that you're saying the right information in the right way, then your confidence will build. And that then the competence and the confidence will build. And then what I always recommend at the end of any situation is that you write your own review. So what went well, what didn't go well? Because I can't take the nervousness of doing something for the first time is good. You have a bit of adrenaline. Every
Mhm.
time you do something for the first time, you're growing, you're getting better, you're improving. So if you turn around and say, okay, I got this wrong and I got this wrong, that's fine. We can work on that for next time. But let's look at what went right. Because most of the time we focus on what went wrong and we don't focus on what went right. Now, when you're in a situation where you're speaking a non-native language and communicating the information in a language that is completely different from your language that you use at home, then you need to give yourself credit to start with, that you're even there. And then
Mhm.
if you're able to practice the information and work with a coach that can help you to give the information in as effective way as possible, I always say, make sure that you speak plainly and simply in those types of scenarios. You don't want to be overusing advanced vocabulary, because also in an international environment, who's your audience? If you start throwing in all of these fancy words and the people listening don't understand them, or you
Mhm.
feel more nervous about using them, don't use them. Just speak your truth, speak what the information that you need to get across. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to use complicated vocabulary to get the information across.
Okay. And when we're practicing with, when I'm practicing with you, there's also probably some technical things or some tips that help get me into better patterns or habits.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that as a coach, you're able to pick up on some things that everybody kind of does a little bit, or
Yes.
some common mistakes.
Yeah.
So
And
what are
often
some
those
things that
common
I can do to
mistakes,
be, yeah,
sorry, those common mistakes are often nationality based.
okay.
So, or culture based. So as an international business person, it's much easier for me to be able to say, okay, don't move your hands around in front of your face all the time. And lots of Italian, they speak with their hands. That's part of how they speak, which I
Mhm.
don't say don't use your hands, but don't put them in front of your face, especially on a Zoom. So it's things like that, that just habits. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was asking you. Right. So there's some things that's interesting. That's not something I was actually thinking about. But yeah, that would be helpful to tell me what you see that is distracting that I wouldn't maybe normally pick up on, because I just do it all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
One thing that I think I heard you say last time I did listen to you talk was there was a client you were working with that you noticed, where you noticed this person wasn't fully pronouncing the end of their words or a phrase. Did I
yeah.
hear
End of
that
word.
right? Is that something we do?
Um, it's there's a certain nationality, particularly, that tend to clip the ends, so they just don't finish the words. And well, when you comment on that, when you tell someone they're doing it, and then remind them, because obviously when you first hear something, you don't hear it. You need to practice finishing off each word. And a lot of nationalities, especially Spanish-based speakers, will not finish any word that ends in D and T. That those two seem to be, they just clip the end, and it makes it more difficult to understand the words as people are speaking. We tend to, although we might merge certain words together in natural speaking terms, the sounds are there. And when you take them away, it becomes quite difficult to understand. So it's for the listener. So yes, it's practices like that when you tell them, okay, you need to start doing this, and then they practice it, it changes from someone who you literally can't understand to someone that's very easily understood. And it's things like that that a coach will help with. And it's some things like that that you wouldn't pick up watching YouTube videos and things like that. Watching YouTube videos is very good for certain elements of improving your language skills, particularly listening and picking up new vocabulary if you watch TED Talks in your industry and things like that. But when it comes to your speaking, you really often need help to get to the next level.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be able to pick that out by myself, so I need your professional ear to hear it.
Yeah.
So that is actually really fascinating, because now that I'm talking to you, I'm realizing that this week I was recording some ad copy, and I remembered us talking about this, and it helped me think about the words a little bit differently when speaking. And as a podcaster, my goal is not to make every interview sound perfect. Like what you were saying is can the listener get the information out of the talk? So I'm not terribly concerned with every little pop or clip that might be out of the ordinary. But I do tell people that in a podcast interview, you are intimately in the ears of your listeners. That feels like a one-on-one experience for the listener. And so for speakers who would like to be a podcast guest or are talking in an audio situation like this, are there some tips that you find helpful for gaining confidence when we feel like the mic is really close, worrying about mistakes like that?
Firstly, I would actually recommend that you set up the if you're talking face to face, or are you talking online here? Which is most? Is it online or face to
But
face?
yes, this is online, just like what we are doing now is how I
Yeah.
pretty much do everything.
I would actually make sure that you're set up in the middle of the screen, and then minimize yourself. And then I'm just having a conversation with you. And it's far less intimidating than looking at yourself. I mean, obviously, I don't bother now because I speak so much, but I'm looking into your eyes, and I always make sure that it's at the top, so I'm looking kind of into the camera, but I'm not really looking at the camera. I'm looking at you, and that in itself helps you to feel less nervous. But I also think we are spotlight people. Everyone is worried about what people think about us. And really, people are only mainly interested in themselves and how your information will impact their lives. So don't worry about what they think of you. Worry about giving value to the listener. So what can help the listener to become better, or enjoy the information, whatever the reason for the talk is, or reason for the interview. Think about yourself a bit less. And that's the same with doing presentations. It's not all about you. It's a spotlight effect. It's a well-known phenomenon that we all think. And that's one of the reasons why we pick up what we've done wrong, is because we look back on our experience and we say, what do people think of us because of all the wrong things we've done? Whereas let's have a look at the value people have taken away and what we've done right. And speaking Perfectly is never a thing. Everyone has different accents. Depends on where you are in the world. It's part of your culture, part of what makes you you. And so the key is to make yourself understood, not to make a perfect English accent. There is no perfect English accent after all.
That's
I
a
mean,
good point.
I speak English with an RP accent, but I have friends who, well, I have American friends who say that they are doing it correctly. They're speaking correctly. They've taken English and they've improved it. And then I have Australian friends. At the end of the day, everyone's English is fine. As it's just communication. Doesn't matter. I'm always really grateful for people to speak my language so I don't have to go and learn all of the other languages in the world. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. So they're not judging, they just want to understand and gain your expertise. So yeah, try not to worry about it. And
You
practice.
are
The more you do it,
absolutely
the easier
right.
it is.
Yes, and thank you for taking the time to I feel like you're speaking to me directly. That was those were words I needed to hear. And but you know what I wanted to add to that is you made me think I am always so impressed with people, who can speak several languages or even two. I cannot speak more than one language. So, like just what you said, when someone is speaking to me in my language, first of all, I am super, I exactly what you said. I am super impressed that you're able to communicate with me to begin with because you're a lot smarter than I am. That's what I'm thinking when I'm listening to
Yeah.
someone, who English is not their native language. And um, yeah, I,
Absolutely.
I can't speak more than one language, so
I am learning. I've just started learning Maltese. I live in Malta. English is, there are two official languages here. English is one of them. But I have made the decision to start learning Maltese. And part of that process will help me to teach English better because I will be going through all the difficulties that my students talk to me about. I mean, most of my students, when they first come to me, I do a lot of research, and a lot of them say they don't want to look silly when they're speaking. They don't want to make mistakes, so they don't want people to think badly of them. They don't want people to think that they are not an expert. So that's most of what they want. Most of what people are worried about is they just want to be seen as an expert in the field that they're in, which is what they are. And
yes.
so at the end of the day, if that's your main focus when you go into any kind of presentation situation, is I ask two questions. One, who is your audience? Now that can mean what level, what nationality, what's the purpose of the meeting, who's there and for what reason, and what's your key message. So who's there and what do you want to tell them, or what do you want to tell them, what do you want them to leave with, what information do you want them to leave with?
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone's listening to this podcast, the information I would say that I want people to leave with is don't worry about the small things. Just do it and show your expertise, share your expertise, and just enjoy it. Enjoy the process.
Share and enjoy. Yes. And so tell us again, where can we meet you online? How do you want me to get in touch with you?
Brilliant. Well, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. That's probably the best way to contact me. I do offer a couple of discussion sessions every week, one on a Saturday for everyone, and there's a ladies only session on a Thursday as well. I feel that the ladies are a little less confident when it comes to communicating effectively, and a ladies only session is not recorded, it's not streamed. It's just a bunch of ladies getting together, and I produce some questions for people to discuss every week, and we just discuss, well, it could be AI, it could be we've discussed lots of different elements actually. I think next week's I'm not going to drop that in because I'm not sure when this is going to be aired. But every week it's a different subject. And the more that you speak, the more confidence you gain. And while these sessions are not a teaching session, they are a practicing session. And I think they are as important as lessons as well. So I'd highly recommend people to connect with me. I often offer tips and tricks to improve your mindset around language and language skills as well. Because I think if you just take away a little bit each time, try and do a bit every day. That is another thing that it's probably the biggest tip, is set a good goal. And with that goal, work towards that goal. If you've ever read that book, The One Thing, pick your one thing for that day and that will get you towards your goal, and work towards that, because otherwise it's overwhelming. So, but yes, if you are interested in improving your English, feel free to reach out to me and have a conversation about whether my courses would be useful. And if you just want some tips and tricks, then just follow me. And I do master classes and stuff quite frequently, so there'll always be information people can join in with.
I love it. Well, I'm excited to dive in because I need that too. Well, thank you. Yeah. So again, it's on LinkedIn, and that's Joanne-Hayward. And then of course you can find all of the good stuff there to set up a talk or contact you or get into one of your coaching sessions or group meetings. So thank you so much for being here today, Joanne, on the Dear Business Coach podcast.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.
And then, okay, yeah. So awesome. So it's Joanne. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining me today. My name's Elizabeth, coming to you from the Walker Consulting Work Studio in Floyd, Virginia. This has been an episode of Dear Business Coach.